Hello, my first graders. Today we are working on page 399 in our math book. That's lesson 7.1. So if you're not on page 399, okay, lesson 7.1, pause, find that page, hit play when you're ready. All right. We're going to decide which number is greater, 65 or 56. So remember, greater means bigger, okay? Greater means bigger. So we want to decide what is the greater number, the bigger number. Is it 65 or 56? Well, some of us might know that already. And some of us might need to look at the numbers a little more closely. So on our chart, we have tens and ones. So let's start with the number 65. So I'm going to put my 65. I'm making it into like my TO chart. Remember when we were doing that? TO, tens and ones. So we have 56. And I'm going to draw that out. So how many tens are in 65? How many tens are in 65? 6 tens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And boys and girls, you can just watch this, okay? How many ones are in 65? 5. Okay. Now we need to draw out 56. So again, I have my 5 and my 6. 56, right? So I make sure I put my 5 in the tens place and my 6 in the ones place. How many tens in 56? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many ones? 6. All right, so now I drew out 65, right, and 56. And yes, these are the same numbers, aren't they? A 6 and a 5 and a 6, but it's important what order they're in. In 65, how many tens are there? There's 6 tens. In 56, there's only 5 tens. So when we're comparing numbers, we want to look at the tens place first. Because remember, the 10 is bigger than the 1, right? Right? Do you see? 10 is bigger than a 1 because 10 means that there's a group of 10, right? It's like taking these, right? Popping it apart. It's a group of 10. So we want to look at the tens place first. We always compare that first because it's the biggest part of the number, okay? The tens place is the biggest part. So when we look at 65 and 56, we look at the tens place. Well, what's bigger? 6 tens or 5 tens? 6 tens is bigger. So 65 is the bigger number. It has more tens. And I'm going to show you that one more way. Okay, so let me just show you those 6 tens, right? In our base 10 blocks. And here's our 6 tens. And here's our 5 tens. Okay, so as you can see, right? Same, compare. But then we get here and we see, hey, this has one more 10, so this is bigger. 6 is bigger than 5. Okay, so think about it in like cookies. What would you rather have? 6 cookies or 5 cookies? Probably 6, right? All right, so that's what we're going to be doing today. We are going to be looking at our numbers and comparing them. We need to remember, okay, the important thing we need to remember today is when we're comparing two numbers, we look at the tens place first because the tens place is the biggest part of the number. All right. To compare 25 and 17, first compare the tens. So again, remember, we look at the tens place first. So here's the number 25. Here's the number 17. Okay, we look at the tens place first. Well, what is bigger? 2 tens or 1 10? What's the bigger? 2 tens. 2 tens is bigger. So we would say 25 is greater than 17. And here's our sign. Remember this alligator we looked at? The alligator always eats the bigger number. So it's eating 25 because 25 is bigger. Think hungry, hungry alligator, hungry, hungry hippo. They eat the bigger number. Okay, then look at this one. If the tens are the same, compare the ones. So remember, we look at the tens place first, right? And if they're different, then we compare there. And it's like, okay, well, look, 2 is bigger than 1. But sometimes when we're comparing numbers like 17 and 15, look, the tens place is the same, right? They both have 1 10. So we can't just look at that now. Now that we looked and it's the same, we have to move on to the ones. That's the same, we go over. Okay, so now what is bigger? 7 ones or 5 ones? Well, 7 is bigger than 5. So 17 is greater than 15. And here we have it with our alligator. The alligator's eating 17 because 17 is the bigger number. Okay, so again, we look at the tens place first. If the tens are the same, then we have to move on to the ones. All right, let's look at these. Okay, so they're not always going to show us our base 10 blocks. We have to remember about what we know about our tens place and our ones place. So look at this one. It says circle, there's a couple steps in these. Circle the greater number. Did the tens or ones help you decide? Write the numbers. So look at the first one. They did it for us. Circle the greater number. Well, look, we have 62 and 65. So we look at the tens place first. I suggest putting a line under it so that we know that we are comparing them. So I put a line under the 6. Oh, look at that. 6 and 6 in the tens place. They're not different, are they? That's the same. So now we can't use the tens. We have to go on to the ones. Now we have a 2 and a 5. Which one's bigger, the 2 or the 5? The 5 is bigger, so that means 65 is the bigger number. Did the tens or ones help you decide? Well, the tens were the same, so what did we have to use? We had to go on and use the ones. So the ones helped us decide because the tens were the same. It says write the numbers. So we're going to write, okay? We're talking, it says blank is greater than blank. So we're saying 65 is greater than 62. So remember, greater than means bigger. 65 is greater than, or 65 is bigger than 62. And here, see, they have 65 and 62. They make the alligator eat the biggest number. Okay, turns us back to the small number. It's like, nope, I don't want you. I want the big one. All right, let's look at this one. 84, 48. So the first thing we need to do is look at the tens place. So here's an 8 and here's a 4. So again, I put the line under it to show me so that I remember. Look at the tens first. All right, what's bigger, 8 or 4? 8's bigger, so I circle 8, okay, because 8 is the bigger number. Now, what did I use? Did I use the tens place or the ones place? Think about what I have underlined. The tens place, right? Because the tens were different, 8 and 4. So I'm circling the tens place because I could stop there at the tens place. They were different. Now I need to fill this in. Blank is greater than blank. What was the greater number? Greater means bigger. What was the greater number? 84. The number I have circled, 84. So I have 84 is greater than, right, or bigger than, what's the other number? 48. 48 was the small number. So now I can fill it in here. Blank, look what the alligator's eating. Oh, alligator eats the biggest number. So what was my big number? 84. And it's going to turn its back on the small number, 48. Okay, if you have to pause at any time, go ahead. Right. We're going to try this one together. Okay, so let's look at these two. 72 and 70. So first we're going to look at our tens. Here's a 7 in the tens place and a 7. Hey, 7 and 7, they're the same. So now we have to go on to the ones place. 2 and 0. Look at those ones. Which one has more? The 2. 2 has more. So what did we look at? Could we just look at the tens place, or did we have to look at the ones place? We had to look at the ones place, didn't we? With my dots underneath them. The tens were the same, so we had to look at the ones. Okay, blank is greater than blank. What was the greater number? Remember, greater means bigger. 72 was the greater number. So I have 72 is greater than, what's the other number? 70, right? 72 is greater or bigger than 70. Which one is the alligator going to eat? Alligator eats the biggest number. So we're going to put in 72 is the biggest number, and it turns its back on 70. All right, now you're going to take a turn across the page. You're going to try both of these, okay? You're circling the greatest number. You're thinking, what did you have to look at? Were the tens the same? And did you have to look at the ones? Or were you able to compare the tens? Okay, and then you're going to fill this out. Blank is greater than blank. Hit play when you're ready to check your work. Okay, here we go. 57, 75. Well, you should have circled 75 because 7 tens are bigger than 5 tens. We circled the tens because we didn't have to look at the ones. The tens were different, so we could stop there with our comparison. Blank is greater than blank. We should have 75 is greater than 57. 75 is our bigger number. The alligator should be eating 75 because it's the biggest number. And it's like, nope, no thank you, 57. Right, 94 and 98. Oh, the tens place were the same, so then we looked at the ones. 8 ones. 8 ones are bigger than 4 ones. So we had to look at the ones because the tens were the same. Then you should have 98 is greater than 94. 98 is the bigger number, greater number. Alligator eats 98 because it's the biggest number. Turns its back on 94. Okay, if you need to pause at any time, you can. If not, we're going to keep going on. Pam and Jake, math on the spot. Pam and Jake play a game for points. Pam's points are 1 10 and 6 ones. Jake's points are 1 1 6 tens. Who has the greater number of points? So let's map this out. So we have Pam, so I'm going to put P for Pam, and we have Jake, J for Jake. Okay, so let's look at the points. Pam's points were 1 10 6 ones. So how do we write that? 1 10 6 ones. So her points were 16. Jake's points were 1, 1, 6 tens. Oh, so let's look at that, right? What do we write first, the 1 or the 10? The tens place goes first. So 6 tens. And how many ones? 1, 1. Who has the greater number of points? Jay, doesn't he? Because look, Pam, 110, but Jake has 6 tens. 6 tens is bigger. So Jake has the most points. Okay, the tricky part for this was when they wrote this, right? They wrote it backwards, but we know, right? We know we have tens and ones. So even though it's written backwards, we have to write it the right way. 6 tens, 1, 1. All right, go deeper. John has 51 cards. Paul has 32 cards. George has a number of cards greater than either Paul or John. How many cards might George have? So this one, there's a lot of options, but let's look at this. John has 51 cards. So let's put John 51. Paul has 32 cards. So here's Paul, 32. George, G for George, has a number of cards greater than either Paul or John. So look at these numbers. 51, 32. George has got to be even bigger than that. Okay, so which one of these is the biggest? 51 or 32? Well, let's look. Tens, 5, and 3. Oh, 51, right? 5 is bigger than 3. 5 tens is bigger than 3 tens. So George's number has to be bigger than 51. So what's a number that's bigger than 51? Well, could we give it more tens? Yeah, we could give it more tens. So instead of 5 tens, could we make it 6 tens or 7 tens? Even 8 or 9 or 10 tens? Yeah, it has to be any number that's bigger than 51. So how about we give him more tens? Could we give him 8 tens? Yeah. So as long as it has 8 tens, it's going to be bigger. So does it matter how many ones we put? No, because 8 is bigger than 5. So we could put 3 ones, or we could even have 0 ones. It won't matter because the 8 in the tens place is bigger. So let's give him, should we make him pretty big? Yeah, how about we give him 9 ones? 8 tens and 9 ones, 89. Yeah, so that number is bigger. There is lots of answers that you could have for this one, but as long as it's bigger than 51, your answer would be correct. All right. It says, we're going to actually skip this top part for a minute. Compare. Let's look at the bottom. Is the math sentence true? Choose yes or no. All right, so each one we have to decide. 37 is greater than 43. Is that right? Well, let's look. We have to compare them. There's 3 tens and 4 tens. Which one is bigger? The 4 tens. So is 37 greater than 43? No, because 43 is the bigger number. So we're going to choose no. 41 is greater than 39. So is 41 bigger than 39? Well, let's compare. 4 tens, 3 tens. Which one's bigger? 4 is bigger. So 41 is greater than 39. Is that right? Yes. Okay. For these last two, I want you to choose. Remember, the alligator is going to eat the biggest number. So I want you to look at each one. Is it eating the bigger number? Yes or no? Is it eating the bigger number? Yes or no? Hit play when you have your answer. All right, you're hitting play because you made your choice. So we had 48 and 52. 4 10s and 5 10s. What one's bigger? That one. Oh, is the alligator eating it? Nope. So we're going to say, no, that's not right. Alligator should be eating 52 because that's the bigger number. 86 and 68. 8 is bigger than 6. Is the alligator eating the big one? Yes, it is. So you should have said no for the first one and yes for the next one. All right. Boys and girls, we are going to skip this top part, okay? You can do it if you'd like. It's coloring the balloons that show numbers greater than 56, okay? But I'm going to have you guys skip that. So you're going to work on your personal math trainer. If you want, you're welcome to do this for practice.